Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning on this beautiful Friday. Wherever you are, I hope it's as beautiful as it is here in Orlando. The sun is shining and it's a gorgeous day. So my name is Gavi Berman. I'm the Director of Business Development and Community Outreach for Central Florida Behavioral Hospital, and I am going to be your host for this webinar. It's for cyberbullying, the dangers of social media on mental health, and how to protect your children. I think a perfect topic for right now, considering the mental health of our kids and how important that is currently. Moving forward here. So we have a lot of folks here that are familiar here with our school, with our facility. But for those of you that are not, we are a freestanding psychiatric hospital. We're across the street from SeaWorld. We have 174 beds, and we have separate units based on age and diagnosis. We're a Baker Act receiving facility. And the reason I think that this particular presentation is so important right now is I'm sure, as a lot of you have seen this past year, one of the biggest demographics that have been affected by the pandemic and all of the changes has been our children. And I think there's a ton of reasons for that. One of the reasons for sure at this day and age happens to be social media and all of the things that go along with that, including cyberbullying. And so I think that it's an incredibly important topic at this point in time. We do have separate units for children and adolescents. So they're separated ages 5 to 13 and then 14 to 17. And we also have a adolescent virtual IOP, which has been tremendously successful. I think a lot of people have found that to be an excellent resource. It's for kids that are either, unfortunately have to end up here at the hospital and are going back, transitioning back to the community, or for kids that are just on the outside that need a little bit of extra help. We also offer a full gamut of services for adults. We have your mature adult unit for folks that are requiring a little bit care for older adults. And then we have also, your dual diagnosis for folks that are co-occurring that have substance abuse issues as well as mental health. I do want to mention also that we offer Qpr training. It's totally free. It's a service that we can offer to you, to your organization, your school. We've done it for law enforcement before. Qpr is essentially CPR, if you will, for suicide prevention. It trains you on how to have a conversation, an appropriate conversation with somebody to find out whether or not that person really is in need of help and whether or not a person is suicidal. It's for anybody. It's really for the layman. So we can do it for parents. That's one of the big groups that we are trying to train, especially considering the huge increase in kids that we've seen. We want people to be equipped on how to go ahead and have these very difficult conversations. So this is a totally free training that we're doing. And if you're interested in having that training done for your organization or your school, please reach out to myself. My email address is there, and you'll also have my email address following this presentation as well. Upcoming CE training, stay tuned. Next month, we have an awesome presentation from Natasha DiCangelo on compassion fatigue. She's from Lake Nona Behavioral Health on Friday, November 19th. And then in December, on the 10th, Friday as well at 9 a.m., we have Dwight Bain on complicated COVID anxiety. Those are CE trainings. One CE will be offered for those. We are hiring. If you know somebody or you yourself are looking to have an awesome career at an awesome facility where we put patients and people first, this is an awesome place to do it. I love working here. We're hiring for all positions, RNs, MHTs, therapists. If you or somebody you know are interested, please go to our website, or you can go also to Indeed or LinkedIn, whatever is easier for you, and you can see all of our open positions and apply for a position there. You can also reach out to me, and I can make sure to let our HR know that you've applied, and we can try to expedite your application. And then finally, we'll get into the presentation here. So just some housekeeping items. Today's webinar is going to be 1 hour long, including Q&A at the end of the presentation, at which point Jim will open it up whenever he's ready for questions. Everyone's muted on this presentation. There's 200 plus people on this call right now, so it would be really challenging to open up the phone line. So if you do have questions or if you have comments, please enter them into the Q&A or chat function, and we'll monitor and answer as many as possible toward the end of the webinar. Also, this webinar is being recorded. We have tons of resources on our resources page on our website there. If you go to our homepage, you can see we have a resources tab there. This recording will be added to that resources tab after the presentation, probably next week. So if you missed it, if somebody you know missed it that could benefit from it, or if you want to watch it later, feel free to go ahead and go over there next week when it's posted and watch it again. Also, when the presentation ends and you exit Zoom, you're going to automatically get a prompt in your web browser that's going to bring you over to the evaluation survey. It's a Google form. So when it looks like when you're closing out Zoom, it looks like it's some sort of pop-up. Don't be nervous. Actually click on it because you need to complete that evaluation in order to get your CE credit. And then of course, all eligible attendees are receiving 1 CEU for participating, and know that the CE credit will be issued within 60 days. We do these presentations quite often, and we do get a lot of requests about when it's going to be posted in CE Broker. Just know that give us a little bit of time because there's a lot of attendees and we do a lot of trainings. So it could take some time for it to be posted. However, it will be posted, and immediately following this presentation, I'll send out a certificate of completion and a follow-up email. And with that, I am going to introduce our speaker, Jim West. Jim West is the president, I should say, of Total Life Counseling. He is the author also of Stress Less Educational Series, which this is a part of, by the way, the cyberbullying piece here. Jim is a prolific speaker. He's an educator and author, and has been interviewed by local and national media on issues facing adolescents and their families. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Jim. Jim, I'm making you a co-host. So tell me, can you hear me, Jim?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, awesome.
Awesome.
Go ahead, and if you want to take the screen.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to be able to start video. It isn't letting me do it just yet. The host has, yeah, you have to give me that option. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How about now?
Okay, let's see here. Still says unable to start video.
Can you share your screen?
The
presentation?
I can see you guys, but man, share screen. I cannot share screen while the other participant is sharing. So yeah, you have to turn off sharing. Wow, sorry guys. Maybe am I in here twice?
You are. I'm not sure. Let me try one thing, Jim. Hold on one second.
Okay, sure. All right. Let's see if I do it this way. All right, so maybe, hold on. Let me just leave this one and try with the other one. Hold on. Okay. Maybe, can you hear me? Guys, I'm so sorry.
We can hear you.
Verizon commercial. Can you go to the other Jim West and maybe kick me out on that one? And the one I just joined with, leave me on, I guess. See if that works. Okay. I can share my screen now. Okay, that's good.
All right, Jim, we can see you now.
Okay, cool.
Excellent.
All right. Okay, guys. So this is the cyberbullying talk, like we talked about, Stress Less with cyberbullying. It's a talk that I do with one of our other therapists, Chalice, who works with teen girls. And of course, she sees a lot, even more of the cyberbullying type cases that, than I do. I mean, I do see them, but not as much as she does, obviously. But anyway, this is the talk that we do together. Yeah, I can't start my video. And we're going to do I'm going to give everybody access to Stress Less with Flying Kids Under the Bully Radar. I'm going to give a free video to everybody who subscribes today. I just really want to get that information out there, so everybody gets that for free. If you go to totallifecounseling.com, subscribe. And then we're going to have 3 winners today as well. for the Stress Less series combo. So everybody has a chance to win. You have a chance to win. And if you don't, you get 50% off the whole program if you use that code at the end of this presentation today. So totallifecounseling.com/subscribe, or you just go to totallifecounseling.com and you pick when the drop-down menu, you pick Flying Kids Under the Bully Radar. Okay. Stress Less with Bullying. Click that tag and you'll get it for free. Okay. So thanks. If you guys do that, that'd be awesome. We keep you up to date on more information on bullying and cyberbullying and kids that are affecting things affecting teenagers today. This is just a few news interviews we've done on bullying. We've probably done 40 or 50 news interviews over the years on bullying. That's on our YouTube channel. And you just look for Total Life Counseling Orlando on YouTube. And if you want those resources, there's some that are just instructional. You can share with kids, some great tools, share with parents, great resources there as well. If you subscribe, obviously you'll get access to those, the new stuff that we post from time to time. Okay, I just did a video on TikTok a couple weeks ago. I did another that'll be showing up on our YouTube channel as well. So you'll just be staying up to date on what's going on, with adolescents today. So anyway, what is cyberbullying, right? So that's going to be what we talk about. Do parents really trust what's going on behind the child's screen and social media? The most common threats of cyberbullying and statistics, why people bully, and social media statistics, and how to keep kids safe and prevent cyberbullying. And this is actually a 2-hour talk, but I know everybody's busy. So I've given Gabby the access to the entire program. So I've taken about 20 slides out of the 2-hour talk. I don't think I'm going to get through all of it today, but I'm giving you all the slides. And honestly, if you want the whole presentation, the PowerPoint file, and you want to do it somewhere and you want to share it somewhere, I want to give it to you guys. I got the information from Safe at Last, and you can go to their website as well, and you can see it, all the information, but we turned it into a PowerPoint program. And I want to give that to you guys too. If you're a speaker and a presenter, we really want to get this out there. I was actually asked to be a part of the White House Committee on Cyberbullying back in 2018, but then Kim Jong-il happened and the missile crisis and everything. And so that got tabled, but I did send some information, and I'm going to share some of that with you guys as we go along. I sent some research, for them, for that committee. So anyway, so here's what, it basically consists of a variety of harmful words and actions that take place over technology, right? Sending mean messages, sharing embarrassing pictures of the victims, making up and spreading untrue stories, and telling others to ignore them or leave them out, to isolate them. Of course, during COVID, kids were already isolated and at home on their electronics, getting addicted to porn, getting addicted to social media, getting more depressed, more cutting, more self-esteem, more suicide. Suicide went up 800% over COVID, guys, with teens. Teen suicide, it went up in a tremendous way. Horrible, 800%. So, this is a really big topic, a really big thing we need to be aware of and equip the parents and the families and the kids that we're talking to. Here's some examples. Harassment. Threatening or abusing messages are sent in a sustained, repetitive, repeated, and intentional way. Outing someone. Deliberate act, meant to publicly humiliate a person by posting embarrassing, sensitive, or private photos. Oftentimes, boyfriends, when they break up, they'll threaten a girl, if you don't get back with me, I'm going to post these pictures. And then the girl doesn't believe it. And then he does. And I've even had a boy ask for a picture of a girl from a guy who had pictures of various girls. And he sent a naked picture to the boy that was someone else, but said it was the girl that he wanted a picture of, and it wasn't. And so 2 girls were horrified and were tremendously embarrassed. Fraping, when a cyberbully logs into a person's account and impersonates them and posts comments and photos or videos to cause emotional harm. Cyber stalking, which is a criminal offense. So stalking somebody online via online platforms, using the collected information to bother them and cause harm to them. And then catfishing. A person creates a fake social media presence or a fake identity intended to deceive, manipulate, and harm a specific person. And this also happens to celebrities a lot. This happens a lot to celebrities. In fact, I think it was Selena Gomez who sent a letter to the CEO of Facebook and to Mark Zuckerberg and was ignored. And it made national news because they didn't do anything about, how she was being bullied online. And they said that they have algorithms and they take down all these cyberbullying posts, millions and millions of posts, but she says your algorithms stink. They're not working. And it's true. And it's interesting, that they have like cyberbullying policies, all these platforms out there, and they say, oh, here's what you do and here's how you report it. And I'll share that at the end. However, it's still not good enough because it's still happening so much. And it's happening at such an alarming rate. And so there's also companies that have algorithms that basically, can eliminate cyberbullying or try to minimize it on your kids' phones, right? Well, why can't they put that software on all these social media platforms and do it? Why can't they do that themselves? And so kids' child statistics to look at, 95% of parents think they know what their kid is doing online. 17% of children said their parents have no idea what they do online. And let's see, hold on a second here. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at some of the chat text to see if there's anything. Okay, no problem. I was just seeing if anybody was chatting something for me, a question for me, but we'll hold the questions to the end. 95%, so 70% of children will encounter pornographic, extremely violent content while using the internet for research and homework. Now, it's even, if you go on Instagram and you go to the search, the search window in Instagram, and or let's say, or if you find if a guy sees a picture of a really pretty girl, oftentimes when they click it, if they go to their bio, it takes them to onlyfans.com and other pornographic sites where they can lie about their age and then see girls online for free initially, and then eventually it's for money. And so it's right there in their room on their phone. So 2/3 of children have a negative experience, whereas only 45% of parents realize it. That's a big gap right there. So 60% of high school students have considered suicide because of bullying. 75% of children who share personal information online in exchange for goods. How about that? They share personal information online in exchange for something free. And then that's used against them, used to market to them as well. 48% of children worldwide think they spend too much time online. Wow. Look at that. How about that? Children are saying that. Teens are saying, right? Children spend more than 1.6 hours per day online. And of course, yeah, we know it's way more than that now, and around 11.4 hours per week. They're playing video games, surfing the internet, doing schoolwork online, and of course, talking to their friends. 51% said their parents let them download computer games on their own without supervision. 1 in 10. How about that? That's just crazy. By the way, so the video games, Grand Theft Auto has a bar in it that you can go to, and a girl will give you a lap dance, and she's very robust. She is topless, and she will do a lap dance, and there's boobs in the face of the person online. So it's simulating the kids getting a lap dance from a naked girl in front of them. So that's Grand Theft Auto. And if so, people are letting kids just download stuff, whatever they want, letting them play these things. That's what's involved. And then also in that game, you rank up by running over prostitutes. So it devalues prostitutes as if they're a lesser person than just somebody who's not a prostitute. And they run them over and they get points and they earn money. And then they also earn money by killing drug dealers and delivering their drugs. And then getting money and buying cars that way. And that's the only way to get cars and buy houses in the game is by committing crimes. So that's Grand Theft Auto. Okay. And it's illegal. It's banned in some countries. I don't know why it's not banned here in America. 1 in 10 admit visiting adult content sites when their parents aren't around. Of course, that's the ones that admit it, right? How many of those kids are lying? 4 in 10 children state they stop what they are doing online if a parent is watching. Negative online experiences. 82% of children who broken house internet rules experience something negative. Wow. So how about that? The kids that get around the internet, they do a VPN, they get around the screen controls or the parenting controls, and 82% of those kids have a negative online experience. 74% of children who have negative experiences use social networks. 20% of children wouldn't tell their parents about a negative online experience for fear they would be disciplined. So like if they did see some pornography, let's say it wasn't intentional, then they would be disciplined, right? 19% are concerned their parents would overreact. Okay. 1/5 of children feel embarrassed and live with online regrets. How about this one? 40% of kids reported contact from somebody they don't know, a stranger. And of course, sex trafficking is horrible. Thousands of kids are disappearing every month, right? 33% reported downloading a virus. 25% reported seeing violent or inappropriate content. How do they feel when they don't have their phone? How many of you guys have worked with parents and families who tried to take away a kid's phone because they had a consequence, or they were looking at something they weren't supposed to, or they were Snapchatting and sexting or whatever they were doing, and you try to take away their phone? And the parents are having to tackle their kids. Kids are threatening to kill themselves, end up in Central Florida Behavioral Hospital for that, because they're trying to take away their phone, which is, they're addicted to. These technology giants have turned these kids into, geeks, like where they're socially awkward and they're staying at home and they're not wanting to go outside and they're quitting sports and they're just wanting to be home. And some of it's really something how they tried to make it as addictive as heroin, and they got really, really close. So anxious, lonely, upset. How about, when they're, and some kids are relieved when they go online, but if you look at the left side, the kids are more anxious, more lonely when they go online and upset. Okay. And then over on the right, it has the kids are relieved when they get their phone. So that there was some research that Facebook found was, and they hid from everyone, just kind of like RJ Reynolds hid the cancer killed, their cigarettes was giving cancer to their, participants, right? The people smoking. And they hid that girls that are depressed will go to their phone when they're depressed to self-soothe and get more depressed. And then they'll go back to it again when they feel more, and they'll just keep going to it thinking that they're going to feel better. So they get this sense of relief when they have the phone in their hand, but it makes them upset, it makes them lonely, and it makes them anxious. Children's awareness, 7 in 10 know to give their 7 in 10 know never to give out their password, but less than 4 in 10 use complex passwords and change them. They don't change them very regularly. Most of us don't either, right? And that's really scary. 6 in 10 are wary of opening emails. Only a third are wary of pop-ups or banners. We're not educating kids when they go online what they should click on and what they shouldn't click on. And of course, when they become teenagers, they stop listening to some things that parents say. Maybe not everything, but a lot of things, right? Over 4 in 10 watch out for too good to be true offers, like a free iPad, a free computer, you won, right? And of course, we get texts like that. We get spam calls like that. 81% would seek adult support if threatened or physically harmed. So think about that. That's really awesome. But then there's the 19% that don't say anything, that are at risk. 84% would tell an adult if being blackmailed or threatened online. So then there's 16% that aren't. So I'm so glad that 84% are saying something, but we got to get this number up closer to 100%. So, right? So 71% would report something suspicious or inappropriate. 45% of teens are online on a near constant basis. 9 in 10 teens view spending too much time online as a problem facing people their own age. Wow. Look at that. So the teenagers even know they should not be online as much as they are. Girls are more likely than boys just say they spend too much time on social media. Teenagers risk for depression jumps 27% when they frequently use social media. 44% of tweens watch things online their parents wouldn't approve. 28% of parents were aware of that. That's not good at all. So screens need to be, out in the living room or in the family room and facing toward the kitchen or facing toward the parents, right? 17% of tweens received an online message with photos or words that made them uncomfortable, and only 7% of parents were aware. 95% of parents don't know common acronyms used when parents are watching. How about this one? POS, which, by the way, you can look these up online. You can find, these initials online and give that as a handout to the parents. But POS, it doesn't stand for piece of, I won't use that last word, but it stands for parent over shoulder. Parent over shoulder. How different are the teens and the parents, right? How about for checking phones for messages as soon as they wake up? We have teens, it's like 72% of teens do it often. Well, I'm sorry, do it. And 57% of parents feel their teen is distracted by their phone. 51% of teens think they're distracted. That's a pretty good number, right? And then you have parents who would say that that's true for themselves, that they're distracted. Lose focus in class. So that's kind of where, my wife and I will put our phone up on the charger when we're having dinner with the kids or we're playing board games. We don't put it on our table, on the table next to us, because that just shows where our attention's not. Like it could be we'll pick it up. If it vibrates, we might get it. If it rings, we might get it. So we actually just, put it away, where we don't even know that it's ringing, maybe even put it into do not disturb mode. So that's how we deal with that. Lose focus in class because they are checking their phones. And by the way, I specialize in ADHD and autism, and those kids, it's even higher percentages. They're distracted because they're one of their top symptoms is they're bored easily. So they just, they're looking to get stimulated. So they're trying to, they're getting on their phones and they're doing something fun and exciting. And it's an app, it's a game that they're addicted to. And they made these things addictive and hired psychologists to do it. Here's some online threats. Of course, most common online threats is child abuse, cyberbullying, scams, and inappropriate content. 15% of parents know about their kids' social media habits and how these behaviors can lead to cyberbullying. Only 15%. Wow. 65% of kids 8 to 14 have been involved in a cyberbullying incident. 50% of children, or even more for subgroups who are vulnerable, like LGBT or obese kids, right? 17% of each gender has experienced bullying within the last 30 days. 36% of girls and boys, 31% of boys have been bullied online. That's just tremendous, guys. That's tremendous. Like 1/3 of people, 1/3 of these kids, right? 60% of high schoolers have seriously considered suicide. Here's why they were bullied. Their appearance, that's number one, appearance. So I know when I'm working with kids, when I try to teach them how to fly under the bully radar, one of the things we talk about is what they're wearing. And if they're, 17 years old and they're wearing a Minecraft shirt or that's like peeling, or a Pokemon shirt, or, I had a client that's 20 that has a purse that has SpongeBob on it, and she's 20 years old. And I talked with her about it. And so she didn't bring it last week and she dressed more appropriately. So when I'm doing social coaching with these kids, that's one of the ways to fly under the bully's radar. And appearance is like the biggest one. That's the biggest one, right? So that's something we look at. Academic achievement. These kids that, especially if they're autistic, high functioning, they go around talking about how smart they are and that they're better than everybody and that everybody is beneath them. And so then now that makes them a target because they make everybody feel so dumb. So we have to coach them on what to say, and not to, not say those things, right? And what to say and make people feel like $1 million, and how to build them up. And so there's a John Maxwell book that says, talks about how to win and influence people. That's geared more for adults, but I do give it to teenagers for how to make people feel like $1 million. 25 ways to make them feel, say their name, compliment them, affirm a quality about them, take an interest in what they're interested in, ask them questions about what they did over the weekend, ask them what they're doing this weekend. And when you see them on Monday, ask them how their weekend was, and then how did they have fun at Disney, or did they have fun at the party, so those are some things that we do. So race is another one, sexuality, financial status, and religion. Okay, so those are really important things to help clients with. Look at this. Everybody thinks that Instagram is like the safest, one of the safer, Facebook and Instagram is one of the safer places for kids to be. But look at this. This is where most of them are being bullied. And Snapchat, where the messages, of course, you guys know, most of you know, they can disappear. The pictures can disappear. The message can disappear. So then it's even hard to prove that the person did bully. But I'm telling you, one of my friends, Lori Smith, is a attorney for a lot of schools, a lot of private schools. And the number one thing she says that people get in trouble with, and it's mostly ADHD kids, is Snapchat and getting pictures and screenshotting it and sharing it with people. And now they're just distributing child pornography, and they're getting kicked out of the school. And then the parents try to sue the school for kicking their kid out for something everybody else is doing. But then the school has to say, well, hey, if you do anything and this goes to court, the court's going to know that he had pornography and he distributed it, and he's going to get in more trouble. So we're not going to say anything. Let's just walk away and learn from this and lick our wounds. Okay. It's really sad. And some of these kids have grown up in these schools, and they're having to, go somewhere else and leave all their friends and their support system. Okay. And then of course you see the other ones. It's interesting, like on YouTube. I mean, if you have a kid has a YouTube channel, they can bully them by leaving comments on their videos and not liking their videos, right? Online safety, make your profile. So here's some tips, guys. Make your profiles private. 53% of teens don't make their profiles private. Don't give out any personal information. 55% of them gave it out, right? Information to someone they don't know, including photos and descriptions of themselves. Don't share passwords. Now, I want to say something, some of this personal information, like kids with autism or that are socially delayed, like 60% of kids with ADHD, if they're having trouble socializing in person, they're going to try to find people online. And that's where it really gets dangerous, because it's going to be somebody they don't know, and they're going to just be so enamored by this person and want so much to have a relationship with someone that they'll have an online relationship with someone that they may never meet. Okay. And I've even had some of them meet, and then after they meet, they break up after a week or two. So, and then some of them stay together. It's interesting, right? So anyway, so we got to teach kids not to share passwords. 34% of kids in the US have experienced cyberbullying at least once. Okay, the National Crime Prevention Council concluded this number is actually higher at like around 43%. And I think over COVID, I would definitely say that it was more. Cyberbullying tends to go underreported because of the lack of education on the subject. That's why we're doing this, right? 25 to 30% of young people have admitted to experiencing or taking part in cyberbullying. So this cyberbullying is a significant problem, which is often more damaging than traditional bullying. And that is so true, guys. I mean, think about it. How many bullies were there at a school? 1, 2, maybe 3 when we were in high school, now, and that was because they were bold enough. They could come up in front of you. They didn't care. And they would bully you to your face and say what they thought to your face. And you'd have to stand up to that person somehow and figure out how to get off their radar, right? Well, with cyberbullying, anybody can say something. There's a lot of people that are walking through the halls of the school that want to say something or have judgments in their head about somebody, about their appearance, if they're obese, if they're gay, if it's their ethnicity, whatever it is. They have, some people are having the kids that want to say something, then they just didn't say it, right? Well, now they can just go say it. It's so easy to say it online. And then they come to school, and then they get in fights with that kid. They get in fights with the victim, the victim goes after them or says, why did you do this? And it just, of course, most fights start with words and then it turns into physical aggression. And if you ask principals today, they will tell you that there is definitely more physical fighting happening, physical fights online on campus than they were 10 years ago, pre-social media. Okay. And it's being recorded. And then when that's being recorded, then that goes online and that's being posted. And then those two people that were fighting, at least one of them are going to be harmed emotionally and socially because of that. Because somebody's going to lose the fight and they're going to be teased about it and never let it go. And that's why some kids just think it's impossible. And I just cannot get away from this. All right. So disconnecting from the internet, even disconnecting from the internet, does not, their reputation, it can be crushed behind their backs. So even if they block people, which we recommend, you block the people bullying you, but then you don't even know that you're being bullied. And then you go to school and people are like, oh my God, did you see this? Did you see that? Look at what they said about you, blah, blah, blah. And it is so hard, guys. It's so tough what kids are having to deal with today. 1 in 10 young victims of cyberbullying will tell a parent or trusted adult about online abuse. Don't report. So 1 in 10 victims, right, will tell a parent. 1 in 10. That means 90% of kids are being cyberbullied and the parents don't know about it. That's why they need these parental controls and apps that like bark at them and bark at the parent. That's called Bark. That's one of them. There's Net Nanny. Again, that's at the end of the presentation. Over 65% of parents are worried about cyberbullying. So we got to get that to 100%, right? Don't report. So they don't report it because they're embarrassed, they're scared, right? And or reporting the bullying will outweigh the help, if they come clean. Of course, if you report it and the bully gets in trouble, then they tease you. Oh, you're a narc. Oh, poor baby, and they tease them, right? Teenagers doubt that parents will believe them also. That's another thing, right? Over the internet. They like parents just because if you weren't bullied online as a kid, how do you know how they feel? How would you even, it's just hard to fathom that. Like even like gaming addiction, like some parents are like, really, how can they get addicted to a game? How can they get addicted to social media? Like, how is that possible? Because when we played video games, when we were kids, they weren't addictive. And we played 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and the games got progressively harder and harder. And within that 20 or 30 minutes, you'd be like, okay, that's it, I'm out. And then you'd go out and play. Using technology and devices, such as social media and a private website or mobile phones to deliberately target someone, right? So here's some examples, like on phones, on texting, on online, like on Facebook, right? And then also maybe Snapchat as well. It could be on the bus where they're texting you, from the back of the bus or the front of the bus, right? 37% of kids bullied last year had developed social anxiety. And, I know, gosh, if we were doing this as a live presentation, I'm sure so many of you would be raising your hands that you're seeing, if you're a therapist, you're seeing more kids that are cutting, more anxiety. And what's interesting too, with the kids that got addicted to porn, we're hearing that the boys are coming back and they're being more handsy and more touchy with the girls and crossing boundaries. And some of the girls are saying no and pressing charges, and some of the girls are freezing and letting it happen. And it's really, really sad, guys. So we need to teach about that too. And that's going to be another talk that my wife and I are working on right now that hopefully we'll have ready in a few weeks, that we're going to do on healthy relationships versus unhealthy. It's a talk that we do for like the NBA, and we do for Major League Baseball, and we have a team talk when in the WWE, we have a team talk that we do. It's like a corporate talk that we do for businesses too. So on healthy versus unhealthy, it's like one of those things that corporations like require now, these types of talks, right? Stress, work-life balance and things like that. But this particular talk, we've got to get out there and teach girls how to say, no, and go report it immediately rather than freeze, and then know that they'll be believed and that it will be investigated. Okay, so we don't know 100% if they'll be believed, but with #MeToo, people are a lot more on top of this now. So there's a lot more people getting behind girls when they come forward, as well as as boys. Okay, so So how about the kids that fell into depression? A third of them that were bullied online were depressed. Cyberbullies can't see the victim's reaction to the persistent damaging content they dish out. Maybe if they could see it, and that's the barrier, if they had to do it in person in their face and they saw how sad the person was in front of them, they wouldn't do it. So that's what's so sad about this. I have a feeling that Mark Zuckerberg was bullied as a kid and he could care less, and he made it. Maybe it made him tougher. I don't know, but I'm hoping, these Senate hearings will turn into some really big reform. We need IDs. We need IDs for kids that, is tied to something like a social security number that has their birth date that will be confirmed when they go on a site and try to say how old they are. They have to use that ID, and it's a unique number to that kid. And I really feel like that's something that needs to happen. And that's one of the things that we recommended to the White House committee was that, because kids are just lying about their age and getting on these platforms, right? Bullied victims have to re-enter environments where they get bullied, knowing they'll be shamed, which is, going back to school, and humiliated online, leading to severe anxiety, social anxiety. They're going to be more than likely to self-harm or attempt suicide. Oxford, Swansea, and Birmingham research study discovered the true consequence of cyberbullying. There's that the social disconnect, or the social social dilemma on Netflix. It's a great movie or documentary to watch of the technology giants that made this technology addictive, coming online and having tremendous remorse about how much this has harmed so many people and led to so much suicide. And there was a 139% increase in suicide, self-harm, cutting behaviors for that 9 years of social media. Okay. Now with COVID, that is gone up dramatically. Okay. So they, over 25 countries, kids under 25, 150,000 people. It's a big study, very big study, right? So cyberbullying increased the risk of self-harm, suicidal ideation by 2.3 times. Again, this is pre-COVID stats. We don't have stats for COVID because we're going through it right now. Okay. It amplifies them being isolated, if they feel hopeless. And then kids with pre-existing emotional, psychological, or emotional stressors, it just takes them down. It just takes them to a really dark place, guys. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 15 to 29, making up 8% of all deaths. Children and young people under 25 who are victims of cyberbullying are more than 2 times more likely to self-harm and enact suicidal behavior. Children who experience both school bullying and cyberbullying were more than 11 times as likely to attempt suicide. Really sad. I don't have time today, guys, but there's a video. I think the guy's name is Adler. Last name, I think it's Adler or Adel. It's a 9-minute talk on TED. It's a TED talk. When I do a 2-hour presentation, I show the video, but you need to watch it. He's a business psychologist, and he says that, and there's the school, it's a Wharton school in San Francisco, and 75% of the students are technologies, like people running technology companies. 75% of those kids, like basically technology kids are sent to this school that have parents that make technology addictive. They send them to this school called Wharton School of something in San Francisco, and they have no iPads, in the school until 8th grade. Okay. He also says in that talk that the New York Post interviewed Steve Jobs after the iPad came out, and he just talked about how amazing the display was and how much you're going to love it and how it's going to impact and change your life. And of course it did in some positive ways, right? But then he was asked, well, your kids must love it. And you know what Steve Jobs said? Oh no, my kids don't have access to technology. Bill Gates did not give his kids a phone until high school. These kids, and the kids that are getting all this technology at a really young age, they're not creative. They're hooked on it. They're getting behind socially. And so it's really important that we watch out for that. So you guys have these statistics. I know we're going to need to have some Q&A at the end. So I'm just going to try to get to the end here. Okay. And just kind of go through some things that get to some more interventions. This is amazing. This is why we need age restrictions. You know, TikTok, I don't think they still say this, but they used to say that it was for kids 18 and up. And now think about that. Think about how many kids under 18 have a TikTok account. And then they're exposed to tremendous, like borderline pornographic videos. And they're watching this, and the girls are wanting to get likes on here, and they're seeing that they're not getting the likes that other girls are getting that are showing their butt cheeks, or that are showing a lot of cleavage and bouncing and jiggling on videos. And if they're thin, they're getting lots of likes. And if they're, you know, the opposite, they're not. And then they're getting more and more depressed that people aren't liking their dance videos. So it's causing tremendous body image, self-esteem issues, eating disorders, cutting. I mean, it's really something. So even TikTok at one time, and when it used to be Vine, they said 17 years old. Tinder, they say 17, but how many kids are on Tinder that are under 17 because they can just lie about their age? So if you guys know a congressman, you know a senator, we need to do something about this. We need to get an age restriction for these things, and I'm hoping that it will come. YouTube even says 18, guys, 18. But how many of us let our kids just go on YouTube and surf YouTube? And there's the tons of music videos on there that are sexually inappropriate. And then, you know, we wonder why the hashtag Me Too movement goes after kids for being inappropriate with a girl and crossing a boundary, but they're watching it all the time on these videos thinking that that's what girls want. And then they're watching pornographic videos thinking that's what girls want. So we really got to do something about this, right? The porn and these videos. I wish that hashtag Me Too would go after porn and these music videos, you know, and even the music itself, and girls listen to the music, and it talks about wet genitalia on the, you know, I mean, like so it's an interesting time, guys. It's just giving so many mixed messages, and it's not appropriate for the guys to cross those boundaries, but it's really hard with all that's being thrown at them for the guys to, you know, to understand that. So we got to teach healthy boundaries to boys, and you know, and then girls as well, right? And what to say if somebody does cross that boundary. So Twitter. So anyway, you guys get the point. I mean, this is a really amazing slide that you should print out as a handout for your clients. So let's see, traditional bullying. What is it? Okay, I'm going to skip through. Okay, here we go. How to keep kids safe. Now, my favorite is WeZift, and WeZift actually helps with porn. It helps with cyberbullying. Bark also is good for the cyberbullying. I don't know if it does porn also, but WeZift is by NetNanny, and they really did a good job with this. We also recommend that the parents write a contract with the kids, you know, just say, hey, if you get around this app, if you go online and find a way around WeZift or iPhone screen, you know, parenting controls. By the way, Microsoft, if you have a Microsoft 365 account, they include that family safety app. It's a new family safety app. I haven't seen it tested lately. I mean, because it looks like it's pretty new. But if you have that Microsoft Word and Outlook and all that, then you have probably have Microsoft 365. You probably got an email from Microsoft saying, hey, we've added this so you guys can make all of your electronics safe. Okay. Of course, we want to tell kids, don't lie about your age for now, right? Don't accept or add people. In other words, if you're on any of these sites and you're not that age, you're in trouble. We're also going to include, you know, Snapchat. Like, you should not be on Snapchat at all unless you're a very mature, like older teenager, high schooler. But the attorney that I was telling you about that deals with all those cases with Snapchat, she said she doesn't recommend it at all for kids under 18. Okay. Don't accept or add. And the kids will say, well, I can't contact my friends. Well, yeah, you can text them. Well, then nobody texts. Well, they will if you text them, you know, and let them know that you check their text. You see their checks. You know, we say to the parents, have the kids check the phone in at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock every night and charge it up in the kitchen. And then, you know, any messages that pop up on their notifications that you're going to check it. Okay, so let them know that, so that nobody sends, you know, hey, if you don't want my parents to see you naked, then don't send a picture, right? And so that helps. We're teaching kids to have boundaries with their friends too. Okay, avoid private forums, chat rooms, don't give out personal information, disable location services. By the way, when you disable those location services, and there's actually more privacy settings you can do, you can find it on YouTube, then they don't track you on your phone anymore. If you have an iPhone, they did a good job with this latest iOS release, where you can actually turn off a lot of those things. And now you don't get these ads that you feel like following you from your browser to your social media. Okay. Create strong passwords. Make your accounts private. Only purchase items from reputable sites that are secured. And you can show them, you know, if it's a secured site, it's HTTPS, you know, // : there's an S there, then it's a secure site. A lot of browsers will even show a lock, you know, to show you that it's a secure site. Okay. Block anyone who makes you feel uncomfortable. Never share personal photos or videos. Everything that occurs on the internet stays on the internet, right? Excuse me. Parents should have password to all social media. All their social media, password to their phone, all the social media, and they should be a friend on all their social media. So you can see what they're posting and what their friends are posting. Think before you post. And I tell them too, like, if you want to get a job, you know, we hire people, and we don't hire some people if their social media, you know, is concerning. So you can, and so we talk about how you can lose a job before the interview. Keep personal information personal. Make your profile private. Don't take photos in school or sports uniform. Think about that one. You take a picture of your uniform and you put it up on the screen. Now that stalker knows where you go to school and can meet you at the school when you get out of school. Okay, so don't post pictures with your uniform. Don't post pictures of where you are at the time. If you want to post a picture that you were somewhere the next day, that's fine. But I had a friend who got robbed, actually 2 people who got robbed because they were posting pictures presently while they were out, and then people knew they weren't home. Okay. Turn off EXIF data to turn off phone metadata. And look that up online and it tells you how to do that. Educate others, speak out, right? Block the bully and report it. If it occurs within the school, notify the school. Cyberbullying during school hours doesn't happen as often, but it does still happen, because a lot of times, a lot of schools have policies where you can't do it. But the public schools only have jurisdiction while they're at school. That's a big problem. They only have jurisdiction during school hours. They can't do anything to somebody who cyberbullies a student after school. Private schools, a lot of them, most of them have 24/7 cyberbullying policies. Okay, and they have serious consequences for it. Okay, so file official report to the police, address the victim's plans and wishes, meet with the counselor and psychologist to assess it, you know, and deal with the emotional damage. Set ground rules, approved age appropriate apps, electronic free zones, parental control, you know, like the dining room table is like electronic free zone, let's say. You know, where can I have electronics? Well, you can have it at this, you know, workstation here and have the screen facing out where I can see it. Don't have no iPads, no laptops in your bedroom, right? Check their phone at least weekly for new apps and ask for their login. And if you have a contract that says you don't add a new app without my permission, then they violated the contract and follow the consequences in the contract. In the handout that we emailed to you, that should be emailed to you, we have the healthy boundaries handout based on the big disconnect by Dr. Catherine Steiner Adair. And that basically helps to rewire the reward circuitry in the brain. Like for kids that are addicted to technology, she actually gives like, you know, how you limit it. Like when you do set up the parental controls, you schedule it where if they're 16 and up, you get 2 hours. If you socialize first for 2 hours, right? You can schedule how much time they get on those apps. You can limit pornography. You can be notified if they're bullied, cyberbullied. And so, but you still need to check their phones, because sometimes there's things that's missed, or sometimes kids speak in code and come up with their own code words that are missed buy these apps. I mean, these kids are really slick. Some people just, if they have like a iPhone, they can actually have their kids' text come up on their laptop, you know, so that if they really need to look at everything they can. But it is overwhelming to do that. So it's better to use these apps and the algorithms because it catches most of it. But just be aware and let the kids know that randomly you're going to be checking, right? If a kids are 6 to 9 years old, she says 30 minutes of electronics is the max if they socialize for 5 times that amount. So 150 minutes of socializing, because that's a big piece. And when they're under 6, they shouldn't have access to electronics. Now, if they're going to watch TV 3 to 5 years old, you need to watch it with them, she says. Okay. If they're 10 to 12, she says an hour of electronics with 3 hours of socializing. And if they're 13 to 15, it's an hour and a half of electronics if they socialize for 3. And what's beautiful about that formula she came up with is we see that the kids actually, it rewires their reward circuitry in the brain to think that it's fun to not just play video games, but go outside and play a game with people and ride my bike. And so it's really neat that that actually does work, but just limiting their electronics without the socialization, I find does not help them if they're addicted to it. Okay. Don't accept, you know, requests from strangers. And then, okay. So in your handouts, I'm not going to go through all of this, but in your handouts, we have more, like a lot of profiles on how to report the bullying. Okay. And, you know, on Snapchat, on Instagram, there's TikTok, and also there's Facebook. And so your handout has those handouts have like all the, like several of those platforms so that you can use that to teach parents and kids what to do, how to report it. And then I told you guys we'd have a drawing, right? For some winners. Let me see who the winners are here. Hold on just a minute. Let's see. I need to let's see, who are the winners? Sorry, guys. And then I guess, are there any questions?
I see a couple of questions. One comes from Estelle Noack. And by the way, I just want to tell everybody that we are going to be passing out after this finishes. We're going to send out an email that not only includes your certificate of completion, but we'll also have the handouts. I see a lot of people are asking for the handouts, Jen. So we'll include that as well as another resource that from Jim as well. We'll pass that out. So Jim, one question we have from Estelle Noack is, what avenue do you recommend we use to encourage watchdog organizations to focus on porn access and other inappropriate online sites?
We used to encourage watchdog organizations to focus on porn access, whatever, and other inappropriate. You know, I really don't know watchdog organizations. I haven't gone that far. You know, it's really just, I know at one point they were trying to get porn to be on like .xx, like instead of .com, they were going to try to move them to .xx or XXX so that it would be so easy to just block that on browsers. But, you know, now, of course, it's also on all these, it's all, you know, all these other websites, but I don't know necessarily of any like actually watchdog organizations because, you know, it's legal. Porn is legal online. And so really we need to just have the government needs to put like again, that age verification so that they can't get on there until they're an adult. And you know, so that was my way of dealing with it. But the other problem is the porn industry at one point, the number one industry that, and the number one lobby group was pharmaceuticals. I think it still is. Number two, believe it or not, is porn. Pornography is the number two lobby group. And we know, well, most of you guys know 80% of people are, of men, you know, look at porn online. And of course, most of our senators are who? They're men. And so, you know, that's another problem, right? So it's, So anyway, yeah, anyway, that's how I think we should take a look at that, is actually having, you know, a way to verify the age of the kids, or maybe even if it's a credit card. But again, a kid can go get a credit card out of a parent's, you know, wallet to get access, you know. So we need to figure out some kind of age verification for kids. Do you ever go to schools to educate? I see, and this is Smith's question, to educate children about internet safety. I do go to schools. So if you want to give us a call, totallifecounseling.com, or call our number 407-248-0030. I think our number's on the handouts too. Kim Cornish, by the way, is one of the winners for the mega pack. Let me see who else won here. Give me just a minute. And by the way, if you guys want to have access to, oh, there's Ashley Paxton Watts also won. Good job, Ashley. Thank you for entering. The rest of you, if you guys want to enter the code, if you go to our shopping cart, I'm going to put it in the, I'll put it in, if you want access to it, we're going to give it to you for, we're going to give half off if you guys want to use that code to our, the mega pack code, and you'll get 50% off by midnight tonight if you do it before midnight tonight. And I think it ends up being about $170 instead of $380. I don't know what it's like, almost $400, I think, for everything. But you guys get stress less with ADHD, stress less with defiance, stress less with autism, alternatives to medication. So anyway, what is the possibility that porn is attached to human trafficking? It is it's not even a possibility. There's actually research that says that porn is you know, attached to human trafficking. In fact, the reason child pornography is so, like, they come down so hard on that is because that is like what feeds sex trafficking. It is what creates that demand, you know, for people to want to have sex with kids. And it's just so twisted and so sick, but that they've directly linked that. And then, okay, then it was remember, okay, that's all the questions I see. Is there anything else? Any other questions? I really appreciate everybody being on this call. Follow us at Total Life on Facebook, you know, Instagram as well, Total Life Counseling. We're on LinkedIn. Follow us there. If we can help out, let us know.
Jim, thank you so much for doing this for us today. What an
Absolutely
presentation. Great presentation. And everybody else on the line, thank you so much. We're going to send out a follow-up email with some awesome resources from Jim, including the handout and his information. And please join us on our following CE webinars coming up in the following months. You'll get emails for those as well coming out next week. All right. Thanks, everybody, and have a fantastic weekend. Thanks again, Jim.
You got it. Okay.